This is a hot garbage update for Probo Pass here. For those that are just joining in now, or for those that are tuning into the YouTube version of this, I am doing a tier list of the new season, Season 11 of the PvP update changes for the incoming GBL season, starting on June 1st all the way until September 1st, which means this includes all the remaining regionals for Play Pokemon for this season, as well as North America International Championships and World Championships. So this is a pretty big and important update because not only is the meta going to look like this for the next 3 months, some of the biggest tournaments in the entire year take place here. So let's go over some of the new attacks. Liquidation. It's a charge attack. I believe it's actually a crunch clone, so a chance to lower opponent's defense by 1 stage, and it's 70 power as well. And then Leafage is a bullet punch clone. So those are 2 new attacks introduced. And then some attack changes. We have Icicle Spear going up to 65 damage instead of 60. Poison Vein going up 5 damage as well, from 40 to 45. Rollout going from 4 damage to 5 damage. And then Mud Bomb from 55 damage to 60 damage. And Sea Bomb, same thing, 55 damage to 60 damage, but the energy is increased. And that's actually a pretty important factor there too. Are some of them just Pokemon being affected by move changes? Yes, some of them are, and some of them are actually just new stuff. Alolan Sandslash will now be able to learn the charge attack Drill Run. That's actually pretty big. Let's put it in perspective here. Drill Run is significantly better than Bulldoze, which is the current ground move that almost every Alolan Sandslash runs. So let's take a look here. Bulldoze is 60 energy for 80 damage, 1.33 damage per energy. Whereas Drill Run is 45 energy for 80 damage. So you're doing the same amount of damage, but with 15 less energy, which means it's 1.77 damage per energy. A huge upgrade for Alolan Sandslash. And honestly, Alolan Sandslash was looking pretty good these days, especially in GBL, right? I think Denki-chan got to #1 on the leaderboard for GBL with the Alolan Sandslash team, and also qualified for World Championships with it this past weekend or so, or 2 weekends ago in Malmo. So it's already really, really strong. Is it S tier? I'm gonna put it in A tier for now. S tier is like really high up there, right? That's like stuff like Galarian Stump is like Registeel level types of steel as a comparison. I might bump that up a little bit. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Being double weak to fighting is a little tricky because not only is Trevenant nerfed, spoiler, but also there's a lot of ice types, which means there's going to be more counter users these days, right? And and if not counter users, there's going to be more ground users too, because we got some ground buffs. Clefable is now able to learn the fast attack Fairy Wind. That's going to be interesting, because Clefable has interesting access to a lot of different charge moves like Moonblast, Psychic, Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash. But I don't know. It doesn't have a ton of coverage moves for steel types, but I think it could be interesting, especially for those that are not into Charm as much. But I think it could be good in the right situations. In open Show 6 formats, might be harder to play. But then again, it's like when you're a Wigglytuff back in the day, right? You don't really have a lot of coverage too. I guess you had Ice Beam for Galarian Stunfisk, but that's about it. So I'm going to put Clefable here at probably C tier. It has some utility here or there, and I think it could be good in certain GBL cups, but open formats and official tournament formats might be a little bit trickier. Speaking of fairies, Wigglytuff now will be able to learn the charge attack Disarming Voice. This is definitely an upgrade for Wigglytuff because honestly, Play Rough was kind of overkill. You really were just throwing, like, you could only really throw 1 charge move most times with Wigglytuff. If you're throwing 2 charge moves, then like your opponent's getting steamrolled, like they lost already. So Wigglytuff here, it definitely got a slight upgrade, but I wouldn't really. I put it maybe at the bottom of C tier, maybe even D tier. I don't know. C tier. All right, so Wigglytuff's biggest benefit is the normal typing resisting Ghost, but if Trevenant is getting nerfed, there's going to be less Trevenant, right? And then Fairies are already going to do pretty well against a lot of the dark types, so Sableye is not really going to benefit that much with less Wigglytuff right around. So Yeah, I think Wigglytuff will be C. It is definitely an upgrade, but again, I wouldn't put it past Clefable by any means. And Clefable at least has play in Ultra League, whereas Wigglytuff is just kind of Great League. Alright, we got Golduck here. We'll now be able to learn the Charge Attack Liquidation. I don't know, dude. Like, Liquidation is kind of like this season's Boom Burst, except this time around we got more than just Boom Burst, so it is what it is. But I'm not really sold on the Liquidation stuff. Golduck, I'll put it here. Look, if someone could prove me wrong with Golduck, I'd be happy to, right? There might be, like, I can't even think of, like, limited metas, like limited GBL or Grassroots / Sylph metas where Golduck could be viable, but I don't know. Prove me wrong. Dugong, this is a big one. Dugong will now be able to learn the Charge Attack, Drill Run, and Liquidation. Now, we talked about Liquidation. It's a little underwhelming, I think. It's a crunch clone. There's already so many good water moves out there. Surf, Hydro Cannon being some of them. I mean, Hydro Cannon is just a better Surf, right? And, you know, it's just, do you really need Liquidation? I don't really think so. But the biggest benefit for Dugong here is getting Drill Run. Because now, it has coverage against a lot of the Steel types. It has coverage against the Ice water types, like Walrein, Lapras. Those things used to wall off completely. It has play against stuff like Alolan Sandslash, although Alolan Sandslash typically wins without either side baiting. But Dugong's going to be a pretty beastly Pokemon, especially with all the debuffs. Like, honestly, when I say swap a Dugong and they come in with Medicham, it's not Power Punch or Dynamic Punch Medicham, I'm kind of chilling. I'll put it in A tier for now. I don't know. It's so... We'll have to really decide here on Dugong or Alolan Sandslash. I think Alolan Sandslash has a lot of viability, but the double weakness of fighting is definitely something. Not that Dugong typically beats fighters, but you get some play out of it and you debuff that. Here's what I'm wondering here. Because I thought the same thing about Pelipper like 6 months ago. I was like, Pelipper's going to be great, right? That's S tier. But the problem is, Pelipper had way less play into things like Lantern and Registeel, which means that even though it simmed really well, Noctowl was just a better choice, you know, because it had more play into some of these Pokemon, and it just, you know, it just was just bulkier in general. And I wonder if Dugong is going to be similar to Noctowl, and Alolan Sandslash is going to be similar to Pelipper. I think Alolan Sandslash is going to have way more play than Pelipper ever did, but I do wonder if Alolan Sandslash is going to be less successful than we think, and Dugong's going to be more successful. Cloyster will now be able to learn the Charge with Liquidation, dude. I don't know. I don't know if I even want to add all these things. I think Cloyster is going to be better than a Golduck. But actually, Cloyster has a little bit of play. It has an Icy Wind too. It doesn't have to go Hydro Pump anymore, which is kind of nice. Honestly, I'm going to put it I don't know. So, Wigglytuff has a little more utility because its typing and stuff is more unique. Cloyster's fine and it has some play, but like, why would you ever run Cloyster over a Dugong, right? Like, it just seems like a bad idea. It's just like it's a worse Dugong, so why would you ever run it, right? I think that's why I put it at C. Like, it has more play than Golduck, but then again, if you're running this, like, you're definitely running the poor man's version of Dugong, right? Just spend your lithiums on Dugong at that point. Vaporeon also learns Liquidation. I don't know. I put Vaporeon over Golduck, but I don't really like either, to be honest. Golduck at least has Confusion for, like, some of the poison grass, but, like, dude, if you're using Golduck as your grass counter, like, something's off. Togetic will now be able to load the Fast Move with Fairy Wind. That's actually kind of neat. But, again, Togekiss's moves just are not as compelling. I think if Togetic. If Togekiss got Fairy Wind, that'd be a different story. Togetic currently has Ancient Power, Dazzling Gleam, and Aerial Ace. Like, it just... Yeah, Gator's moves are nice, but like, yeah, it beats like Medicham, but why not just run something else that beats Medicham, like a Drifblim, spoiler alert. I think it is an upgrade for sure, because Hidden Power is kind of trash, but I don't know. Let's put it here, I guess. I can see Togetic having some more play in some niche metas. Cloyster just seems like a bad Dugong, right? I just don't see a real reason to run it unless Dugong's banned for whatever reason in a meta. Quagsire. I like this because this is definitely going to be a nice upgrade here. Quagsire will now be able to learn the Charge Attack Mud Bomb. And we talked about this earlier. Mud Bomb is going to be doing more damage. This is actually going to be pretty neat here. Because here's the thing. You got Whiscash as well, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But this is going to be kind of cool. It has play into Lantern, right? Because you don't have to go Earthquake anymore. That's the biggest downside of Swampert, is that you have to go all the way to Earthquake. You could just go straight Mud Bomb. Quagsire is pretty bulky. You actually have Stone Edge for the flyers too, right? Yeah, you're pretty weak to Trevenant and the grass, but what Mud Boy isn't. Having Stone Edge gives it a little bit more of an edge over Whiscash against stuff like Noctowl, but it's a little weaker into stuff like Altaria and like some of the grass types. Quagsire I'm going to put tentatively at the bottom A. At the lowest, I probably put at top of B tier, but let's see how the rest of this shakes out before. I'm going to talk about the specific Pokemon that are getting new moves, and then I'll add in any Pokemon that have moves updated, such as Whiscash. I'll get back to Whiscash for sure. Tyranitar will now be able to learn the Charge Attack Brutal Swing. So, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. So, looking at Dark-type moves here, right? Right now it has Crunch, 45 energy for 70 damage. You get a 30% chance to debuff your opponent by 1 stage defensively. It is 1.55 damage per energy. Brutal Swing, 40 energy for 65 damage. 5 less damage, 5 less energy though. 1.62 damage per energy. So, a little bit more efficient, no potential debuff there. But it's a Tyranitar, man. I mean, I beat a Tyranitar with, like, in Master League when it was locked into by Lugia, right? Where it resists everything Lugia's throwing besides Dragon Tail. Like, it just, I don't know. It's a little, it's not great. I think there's some utility in, like, Halloween Cup and stuff. So I'll put it here. Like, I could see this having some play, right? Especially some fast move, like, Rockhole teams, right? Like, just Shadow Smackdowns coming from T-Tar. Like, getting to Brutal Swing a little faster. Getting to your charge moves a little faster is nice. But in, like, open formats, Ultra League, Great League, Master League, I just think it's just not good. Yeah. This is coming from someone that ran a Shadow Bite T-Tar in Master League once. And it's just too hard to use, I think. So, Cradily would now be able to load the Charge Attack Rock Slide. Dude. So what? Like, who cares? It's not like, okay, so Rock Slide, 45 energy for 75 damage, 1.66 damage energy efficiency. Stone Edge, 55 energy for 100 damage, 1.81 damage energy efficiency. So Stone Edge is already better, but you can make the argument that Rock Slide you get a little faster. But like, what's the point? I mean, I guess you could like counter like a Charizard maybe a little better, right? I don't know. I don't think this really hurts Cradily, but I don't think it beats Noctowl now. I mean, maybe, but like it's taking neutral from like Waters too. I don't know. Like, does it like? Okay, let's sim this matchup, right? Let's sim this matchup because I'm actually curious. So if you're going straight Stone Edge on Cradily, right? Let's go rank 1s here, right? Let's go as maximized as possible here. Stone Edge Cradily against a Noctowl. You win the 0s, you lose the 1s and 2s. If you add Rock Slide to it, let's see what happens. I could be mistaken. It might be a lot better than I think it is. Rock Slide. It's wins the 0s, 1s, and 2s. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, there is that, I guess. But like, I don't know. Like, if you get locked into another grass type, like a Venusaur, like, you just lose, right? I don't know. Okay, so that is a slight upgrade for Cradily. I mean, I was going to say it was going to be an upgrade either way for Cradily. I don't think it's, like, a significant upgrade, but it's solid, I guess. It's better than a C-tier Pokemon, I will say that. But, like, I have yet to see anyone successfully run a Cradily in a Play Pokemon official tournament and do well with it, right? And here's the biggest kicker, right? You can roast me all you want, say Bastion takes no skill and stuff like that. I was able to get 2nd place in San Diego with a Bastion on my team, and I used it a couple times. Dijon got 2nd place as well at a tournament, but he didn't even bring the Cradily. So, like, if the biggest cheerleader for Cradily isn't even bring Cradily to tournaments, how viable can it really be? And hey, maybe Rock Slide's all that Dijon the Jin needed, but for the time being, I'm not completely sold. I'll put it in B tier though. I will put it in B tier. I mean, it's a nice upgrade, but not a significant upgrade. But again, being able to flip the Noctowl matchup into 1s and 2s, like, that is pretty interesting. I will say that. I will give him that. Armaldo. Armaldo will now be able to learn Charge Attack Liquidation. Dude, man, these Liquidation Pokemon, it just maybe has some niche play. I don't know. Armaldo's so weird. I don't even know how to rank this one. Like, it maybe is better than Vaporeon. I don't know. I'm just put it there for now. Like, it's nothing you need to lose sleep over, right? If you don't know how Armaldo fits in the tier list. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just not great. Floatzel will also be able to learn Liquidation. Again, kind of a weird one. I don't know where this even goes. Like, right here? Like, I don't know. All right, quick quiz for everyone. What charge moves does Floatzel even learn? I guarantee most people in the chat don't even know. All right? But here it is. It learns Hydro Pump, Aqua Jet, and Swift. It learns 2 other water moves, right? Arguably, Hydro Pump's like a little better, and Aqua Jet's already a decent bait move. And Swift. It doesn't even learn Giga Impact. Yeah. Giga Impact would be interesting. It learns Swift. I don't know. And it has Waterfall as a fast move and Water Gun. It just has very low utility. Drifblim. This is an interesting one. I actually really like this. So, Drifblim, it already has a lot of play into stuff like Medicham. It has Icy Wind, which is really nice. But now it's getting Mystical Fire. And that's going to be really, really interesting. Because now it has play into Registeel. Before, it didn't really have play into Registeel as much because the Zap Cannon just takes you out, right? Before Zap Cannon, it had a lot of play. It had decent play into Glare and Stumpus Ray because you could debuff with Icy Wind, right? As long as you shield the first Rock Side. It actually is pretty interesting, especially if you stay swapping, they counter swap you. For Altaria, you definitely want to have like Icy Wind, and even for Noctowl. So I wonder if you run Icy Wind with Mystical Fire, but then again, like at that point you kind of lose a little coverage against Medicham. Mystical Fire also pretty good into Alolan Sandslash. Not as good into Dugong. Another reason why Dugong might be a little better than Alolan Sandslash in some scenarios. But, you know, being double weak to fire does put Alolan Sandslash in a tougher spot. You can't, I mean, it's, you know, you still have super effective Shadow Claws and Ice Wind. But, I would put this in the A tier for now. I think it has some play. And here's why I like Drifblim a lot. And this is why I like Dugong a lot too. Even in bad matchups that you lose, if you debuff your opponents, you come out with still a lot. You still gain something from it, right? So against Registeel, you win the 1s and the 2s. That's pretty dope. Straight Mystical Fire. That's pretty nice. Because what do you really want to come into that with? The real question is, do you want to run Shadow Ball or Icy Wind? I would say probably Icy Wind just for some coverage against the Flyers. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you have Shadow Ball for the Altaria and Mystical Fire for the Noctowl, but you just end up losing those matchups, right? Without Icy Wind. I'm going to bump this over Quagsire for now. I think it's going to be pretty solid. Again, there's a lot of ice buffs in this meta, so it could be a little tricky. Drifblim, also a hard wall to Nidoqueen, which got a buff. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Alright, this is, you know, if it's not the Liquidation update, it's a Leafage update. So we got a couple Leafage. Snover getting Leafage. Yeah, I don't really know what that's about, to be honest. Just, like, what does this help with? Little Cup? Like, I don't even understand. What's even Snover's charge moves here? Ice Beam and Energy Ball. Maybe some play in Little Cup. Abomasnow also in Leafage. This one's a little interesting, right? Abomasnow has some utility there, but I think Powder Snow's still going to be better here. Abomasnow already has, like, decent play, so I wouldn't put it past it. Let's put it here. I think the Cradily buff actually is better than the Leafage buff for Abomasnow, but Abomasnow is still pretty solid. If you're the fan of the Battlecast podcast, you know this terminology, hot garbage. And let me say, this is a hot garbage update for Probopass here. Probopass is now able to learn the charge attack Zap Cannon. What is that going to do? You're walled off by G-Fist already, right? You're walled off by stuff like, I don't know, Steelix and Swampert and like all these ground types. And then now you're adding a huge expenditure of energy charge move. For what reason? What's that going to do? Flip like a Politoed matchup? Like, how ahead do you have to be on energy in a matchup for you to be able to even land that thing? I don't know what was going on there, but I do appreciate a lot of updates this time around, but this one could have been just like taken off the website and made everyone save a few seconds while scrolling through. Heatran will now be able to learn the charge attack Earth Power. This is interesting. Heatran kind of fell off, especially when Groudon learned Fire Punch, right? because now you didn't have to go like straight nukes, right? And Groudon just became super strong. Dude, Kyogre's super strong still, and Groudon's even better with Precipice Blades. Like, I think this is interesting, but I don't think this makes Heatran relevant. Like, Precipice Blades is a better Earthquake. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think, I play Master League at times. I think Heatran, unfortunately, is still a D tier Pokemon. I'll put it at the top of D tier, though. And this is coming from someone that has a maxed out Heatran at level 40 before XLs were around, and I used it a lot. I have a few GBL teams with it. It was a lot of fun, but then when Groudon came around, it just became impossible to run. Like, I tried running it afterward, it was still super hard. Samurott will also learn the charge attack Liquidation. Why? Like, you already have Hydro Cannon. It's so much better. You're not going to run Hydro Cannon and Liquidation, right? Like, you might as well run Razor Shell or something. I mean, I guess you can run Razor Shell and Liquidation for, like, debuffs all around on attack and defense. I don't know. Samurott, though, I will say has some utility in just in general purposes. So, I would probably still put Samurott in, like, upper SC tier. It's not bad, but I don't think the Liquidation helps it. I'm just putting a C tier just in general of its utility in a lot of situations. Whimsicott is now able to learn the charge attack Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is doing more damage but costing more energy. However, you already have Fairy Wind on Whimsicott, so that could be okay. Yeah, I forgot Whimsicott. I don't know. Whimsicott's like an interesting Pokemon. I would honestly put it around here. Let's put it here. I don't know. It's not like it has a lot less utility than all the other grass here besides Snover, but it is interesting. I just think it's hard to use in play Pokemon formats. Yeah, and it already has Grass Knot too, right? So Seed Bomb's a little cheaper, but you know, might help it against Swampers, but that's about it. Caracosta will now be able to learn the charge attack Liquidation. Again, another Liquidation user. Caracosta is interesting because it has that rock typing. Let's put it here. I think it's better than the other Liquidation users, but nothing crazy. Emolga will now be able to learn the charge attack Acrobatics. Yo, I saw my friend Butters, 2 Butters was hyping up. You know, 2 Butters will hype up any C tier, D tier, F tier electric and make it look like it's a B tier Pokemon. Emolga, though, I don't know. In Flying Cup, it could be interesting. But, it's not bad. It's just, will you really use it? Like, are you really going to use it in, like, official tournament format? I don't think so. It's an interesting Pokemon. It's like a bulkier Zapdos that doesn't hit as hard, but I don't know. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone makes Emolga kind of work, but like you're just so walled up like Galarian Stunfisk that's everywhere, right? I honestly think Samurai has more play. Let's put it here. Electros also be able to learn Liquidation. Dude, this D tier might as well just be called Liquidation plus Leafage and Heatran, because that's what it's turning out to be. I don't know. Let's put Electros here for now. I mean, all right, again, quiz time. What does Electros even learn, right? It's a pure electric type Pokemon. I will say that. And you have Acid and Spark as a fast move. The charge moves are kind of interesting. You have Acid Spray, Crunch, Dragon Claw, Thunderbolt, and now Liquidation. But like the pure electric typing is just not great. It's super frail. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it has any more play than a Vaporeon, to be honest. Yeah, it learns Dragon Claw. Right, yeah, Dragon Claw. Yeah, Dragon Claw. Crunch, Thunderbolt, Acid Spray. I mean, honestly, it has a lot of variety in its charge moves. It's just typing is not great, and its fast move is not amazing, you know? Alright, this is a funny one. Litwick actually gets Charge Attack Mystical Fire. Dude, not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure Niantic added this just for strictly Bronzor in Little Cups. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why Litwick is getting it. I mean, obviously it's for Little Cups in general, but I'm pretty sure this is meant just for Bronzor. And that alone makes it much more viable than a lot of other things. I'll put it at B tier. For Little Cup purposes, that could be kind of interesting. Beartic, also Liquidation. Dude, nah, dude, this Liquidation tier list, man. I should just cut out these Pokemon. It does learn Charm, but it's pretty frail. Let's put it here. Let's put it there. I don't know. It's not great. Rowlet is learning Leafage. Not only that, Dartrix and Decidueye, all three, right? The entire family line. I don't really understand the Rowlet one, to be honest. Made for Little Cups. Dartrix. So, Dartrix, I think is still going to be pretty bad here. I mean, let's take a look here. Dartrix, Grass Flying. You have Leafage. You have Razor Leaf, Brave Bird, Seed Bomb. Like, why not just use a Jump Bluff or a Tropius, right? And Decidueye, this is going to be interesting. Ghost Grass with Leafage, like, again, why not just run Trevenant? Like, it's not going to be any better. Maybe it gets Frenzy Plant, but I still don't think it's really meta relevant. It's just too frail. It's way too frail. Like, a Bulldoze against a Dartrix, or sorry, Decidueye from a Vigoroth does a decent amount of damage, actually, because I saw it happen in Sunshine Cup. Wait for Spirit Shackle for it to be good? Maybe. They have to make Spirit Shackle pretty good. At the moment, I'm not really sold on it. Dartrix, I don't know. It's just like, I'm putting it here. Like, Heatran has a little bit utility, but like, why not just run another Flying Grass at that point? And then the Decidueye as well. Like, it's just like, it's not great. Let's put D tier. Man, this D tier is expanding though, for sure. As it should be, right? There should be less things at the top. Primarina, or Primarina. I'm actually not sure the pronunciation of that. But, will now be able to learn the charge attack, Disarming Voice. This is actually kind of neat. You got Waterfall and Charm as fast moves already. Disarming Voice is a way less energy charge move, right? So right now you have Moonblast, Psychic, Hydro Pump, right? And so this is definitely going to be a little better. How specifically better? Let's take a look, right? So Psychic is 55 energy, which I think is the lowest energy charge move it has. And then Disarming Voice is 45. So 10 less energy, but that makes a difference when you're running Water Gun, when you're running Waterfall and Charm. And the thing is, we know it's going to get Hydro Cannon one day. So if you're able to learn Disarming Voice and Hydro Cannon, now Primarina is going to be really, really good. I think just this alone, though, just the Disarming Voice, excluding the fact that it'll probably learn Hydro Cannon one day, does make it pretty solid, I think. Let's put in B tier. I think it's still like a weird Pokemon. Like when you're running Waterfall and Primarina, like you kind of like still kind of struggle against a Gyarados. I think having the Disarming Voice will help it a little bit, but it is still a little hard to use in the wrong matchups. Fomantis, another weird Leafage one. They got Leafage. Again, why? I don't know. Maybe a little better than Rowlet. I don't know. I mean, either way, if you're running either of these and look up, like you should just spend your dust elsewhere. Like I don't think it's gonna be that good. And then Lurantis also learns Leafage. I don't know about this one. Lurantis was okay with Fury Cut already. I don't think Leafage actually helps it that much. I think Fury Cutter honestly was pretty good in itself. But the thing is, Lurantis is just really hard to play. I'll put it here. Actually, no, I'll put it here. I think way more people can make Wigglytuff work than Lurantis work. Lurantis is pretty solid, but I think the skill level and utility of Lurantis and team building around it is much harder than building around a Wigglytuff. Golisopod will now be able to learn the charge attack Liquidation. Now, for once, I actually don't hate this Liquidation addition. I don't want to say I hate the other ones. I just don't think they're very impactful. But for this one, I kind of like it. Here's the reason. Golisopod has very underwhelming charge moves at the moment. So, looking at the charge moves it has, is X-Scissor, Aerial Ace, and Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet's pretty bad. Liquidation is a lot better than Aqua Jet. It's not great, but it's not bad. I think, and it already has Shadow Claw as a fast move. Dude, Golisopod is one update away. I'm telling you, it's one update away from being really relevant. Particularly in Ultra League. I think in Great League, like Araquanid is like already pretty solid. It's like a poor man's Araquanid in Great League, but it could be pretty solid in Ultra League, I think. So, especially with Walrein coming back potentially, right? Is it going to be super useful in Ultra League at the moment? I don't know, but I think it has a little bit more play. So let's put it. Oh gosh, it is still hard to use. So I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's not going to do great against stuff like Registeel, right? You have a little bit more play. Let's put it here. I think these two fairies are fine, but there's other better options. Golisopod is pretty unique in its typing and its coverage. Ursaluna! This is the last one of the Pokemon getting new moves here. Ursaluna will now be able to learn the charge attack Ice Punch. Now, this is going to be really nice because you now can threaten Dragonites in Master League. Let's speak strictly about Master League because, let's be real, Ursaluna doesn't have a lot of play in the other leagues. But you have coverage against the Dragons now. You have coverage against Chestnut, which is also pretty big, right? Because typically you're running Thunder Punch and High Horsepower. You typically don't run Fire Punch. Chestnut still beats it pretty handily, but it has something to hit back with, so they can't farm you to oblivion. And yeah, it's really just the Dragons, right? And Garchomp as well, right? You have Ice Punch for it, so it could be pretty nice. But the thing is, if you get rid of Thunder Punch, you're not as good into Gyarados in some of the waters like Primarina, right? However, you can also run Double Punch if you want, because Lenia high horsepower is really, really tough in general. You're just going to have to TM off the exclusive move. But that being said, I think Ursaluna is definitely pretty solid. I'm going to put it right here. I think it definitely can make an impact in Master League. Quagsire's okay, but I just think there's a lot of other options besides Quagsire to run. Ursaluna is very unique in its typing too, especially in Master League. I think overall it's a solid improvement. And here's the thing: if you don't want to use it, you can always stick with Thunder Punch, right? Like you don't have to run Ice Punch, so you don't have to lose coverage you want, but you just have flexibility coverage. And here's the thing: here's the most important part: Dragonites now have to respect any charge move you throw. Before, they were never going to respect you, right? They were just going to be like, you can throw whatever you want, right? Unless it's a purified Ursaluna, there's nothing that can hit me that's super effective, right? At best, it's a neutral Thunder Punch. But now, they got to respect it. Let's take a look at the Pokemon that are impacted by the attack changes. Now, obviously, there's a way more Pokemon out there that learn like Poison Fang and Rollout, Mud Bomb, etc. I'm just going to go with the meta-relevant ones. Sorry, no Miltank, but again, I don't think Miltank is as prevalent. But speaking about Miltank and Rollout users, Dunsparce getting 1 extra damage here. I don't know. Dunsparce is also like already like a pretty solid Pokemon. I'd probably put it as a B tier Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? Metachan is probably going to be more prevalent these days, so Dunsparce is going to be a little hard to use. Now, Rollout is pretty solid, though. I just don't think it's going to be core breaking as much. Actually, you know what? Let's put it here. I mean, Trevenant still might be around, right? Rollout is going to make it a little better against flyers like Altari and Noctowl. But here's the thing. You also have Drill Run for stuff like Alolan Sandslash. You have Rock Slide and Rollout for Dugong. Like, there's a lot of things that's pretty good against in the meta. So I think it's pretty solid. Honestly, I'll even move it up here. I mean, Ursula is not even in the same category in terms of, like, metas it plays. But I think Dunsparce guy should be a little better here. Is it better than Drifblim? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know how good Drifblim is going to be. Like, Drifblim looks really good in the right situations, but it looks really bad in the wrong situations. So, we'll have to see. I might be wrong about this one. This might be actually a little better than Drifblim, but we'll have to wait after this weekend to see how many people really use Drifblim or not and how they use it. All right. Other things. Let's talk about the big, changes for previous really relevant meta Pokemon. Walrein. 5 more damage here. This is going to be an interesting one because this Icicle Spear damage increase is definitely going to make the damage a lot more consistent, and that in itself is going to be pretty nice. Now, it doesn't have the bait potential like it used to with the 5-4-5-4 like Icicle Spear with less energy, but doing more damage makes it a lot better against things like Charizard, Mudboys, like flyers in general. Like, I don't know. I think Walrein might be kind of back in play, I mean, you got Earthquake for the Alolan Sandslash. Like, you're not getting one-shot by a Drill Run, but they're getting one-shot by Earthquake, right? Honestly, Walrein looking pretty good. I'm going to put it here for now. Honestly, no. Let's put it top A. I think Walrein's still really solid. It's still one of the strongest safe swaps in the game, I think. Because, again, unless you have a Araquanid or a Golisopod or, I think it's Surskit. Surskit's the Pokemon that also walls off. Like, those are the only things that wall off that typing, right? Yeah. I think Walrein is, I don't know. I think it's back in action. You know what? It's probably the S tier. I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's still actually pretty good. I think Walrein is going to be our S tier Pokemon for the time being. At least from out of these updates. Yeah. I think it's actually going to be pretty strong. Like, I would not be surprised if we see Walrein back in action a lot. And another reason being is that one of our ground-type Pokemon is back in action too. And that is none other than Nidoqueen. Again, a Pokemon that, you nerfed the energy on it so you couldn't bait as well. But now you're doing more damage with Poison Fang. And this is actually kind of interesting again. Because now the damage is adding up all over again, right? In a different way, right? You're throwing the Poison Fangs less frequently, but you're getting more damage out of every Poison Fang. So that in itself could be pretty neat. It could be pretty neat. Now, here's the thing with Nidoqueen, though. There's a lot of ice everywhere these days. So it could be a little trickier. And I assume ground types. are going pretty prevalent. And also, you still take super effective damage from most of Medi's movesets. But I think it's still going pretty strong, right? Especially if we see more Registeel usage with all these ice types around, right? Galarian Stunfisk is not going to be as good. Oh, man. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to put it here. I'll put it here for now. Drifblim is also going to be a hard wall to this unless you're running Stone Edge, right? But I think Nidoqueen is going to be pretty solid again. So that could be good. So like Swampert might be good against most of these. Yeah. Swampert is actually going to be huge here. And the reason being is the C-Bomb nerf. This is the thing, right? C-Bomb's going to take more energy. I actually don't know if we have the official stats on this or not, but I assume it's going to take at least one extra Shadow Claw, maybe to the second one, maybe the first one. Probably the first one at least. Maybe the second one is 5. I don't know. Might be 6, 6, 5, 6. 6, 5, 6, 5. I don't know. I don't know the math on this. But either way, Swampert was already kind of threatening Trevenant. And now that it takes you more time to get the C-Bomb, it's going to be kind of interesting. Now, obviously, C-Bomb is more consistent damage now. It's more damage per energy, I believe, now against in neutral matchups. So Galarian Stunfisk might be a little better in, because even if you don't land the Shadow Ball, you can maybe go straight C-Bomb. But the problem is, against the water types, especially like Swampert, you don't need more damage. C-Bomb's already going to one-shot the Swampert, right? It's going to, in all likelihood, one-shot the Quagsire and the Whiscash. You need to just get to the move faster. And the other thing is, against Venusaur, your benefit is you could bait with C-Bomb. But now, like, yeah, you could still bait with C-Bomb, but it just takes more energy to even bait the C-Bomb. So, I still think Trevenant is an S-tier Pokemon. I just don't think it's as good as it used to be. That being said. There's also a lot more Ice types, so yeah, less knocked out, but Ice types aren't really going to help Trevenant's calls, right? So, there's that. But, you know, Trevenant does have Shadow Ball for Alolan Sandslash, whereas stuff like Venusaur doesn't, right? Whereas stuff like Abomasnow doesn't. Before we get too far, let's talk about the other Poison Fang use that's probably pretty prevalent. It's going to be Golbats. Again, as a flyer, I mean, you know, you're not going to thrive in an ice environment and steels in general. But I think Golbat definitely has shown time and time again it has a lot of play in some niche cups, right? Like Halloween Cup and Evolution Cup, stuff like that. So I think if for the certain specific cups it has some play, so I'll put it here. I don't think it's like going to be great in like open play, but I think it has some decent play still in some niche metas. I like to call this Pokemon Majin Buu because of the upside down M. But anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, let me know. I mean, if it's Dragon Ball Z, it should be a lot of people should know. It's a pretty popular show. Anyway, Whiscash is an interesting one. I'll probably put it here. So here's the thing, Mud Bomb got a buff. Again, really solid. But here's the thing with Whiscash, and I don't know how often you'll see this, but Whiscash, unless your Altaria has like a Dragon Breath breakpoint, you can beat Altaria down a shield. We're going straight Blizzard. You don't even have to bait, right? The thing is, I just don't think we'll see a lot of Altaria with all this ice types and stuff. And at the moment, Blizzard does not one-shot Noctowl either. So it's like, yeah, like you had the Blizzard, but I think Quagsire is still a little better in that matchup. But I think Whiscash getting the Mud Bomb buff does help it quite a bit. All right, let's see how much Blizzard does in shields down. It does 78.4%. So unfortunately, you still need to throw another Blizzard after landing one Blizzard. So yeah, you know, Noctowl I think is still going to be the premier flyer if there are going to be any, and Quagsire is just going to be better there. But I do like the buff there to Mud Bomb. It probably makes the Swampert matchup much better for Whiscash because those Mud Bombs are just going to start adding up. And the bulk is really nice. This is an interesting one too. Unova Stunfisk. Mud Bomb is going to do more damage, which makes that Galarian Stunfisk matchup much closer too. Before, it was like, typically speaking, favored in terms of for Galarian Stunfisk, unless like you just shield every Earthquake perfectly. But even then, like, it's still pretty good for Galarian Stunfisk. And Galarian Stunfisk just has better coverage. Eufis is interesting, but there's a lot of ice types here. I think it's going to be hard to make work. Honestly, I'll put it here. I think Abomasnow and Cradily have way more play in open formats than Eufis does. But Eufis definitely still has some interesting coverage. It's just like you get walled by grass types, right? You get walled by a lot of grass types. You're like Mud Boys are getting buffed, right? And as much as you want to say it, Eufis is not a Mud Boy, right? Mud requires water and ground, and Eufis only has ground and electric. That's just dirt. That's just dirt that's conducting electricity. Alright, and our last Mud Bomber that I'm going to cover is Toxicroak. This is going to be interesting too, because Toxicroak now does a little more damage. Is it going to beat Medicham as a fighter? I don't think so. Medicham just has so much utility and stuff. But I do like it. I do like it a lot. More ice types definitely helps Toxicroak. I think Lantern's not going anywhere. Mud Bomb's going to help there. You are frail to the other Mud Bombers though, but I think most people are still going to run Swampert. And Swampert is a little more frail than Whiscash and Quagsire, so you just counter through them a little bit. Toxicroak Ultra League viability, definitely a thing too. And last but not least, we got Breloom. And Breloom also impacted by the Seed Bomb buff, and I know one of my patrons, Jazz Guy, is always asking me if Breloom is meta relevant or not. And I gotta say, Breloom is still hot garbage. Still hot garbage with the Seed Bomb buff. It's just... Here's the thing, right? You know what else has the same typing as Breloom? Chestnut and Virizion. And Chestnut and Virizion were released way later than Breloom. Chestnut also got Frenzy Blend way later. Even further than that. But they instantly had way more play than Breloom ever did. So the typing is already pretty solid. Despite being double weak to flying, you completely wall off the moveset of ground and rock, right? Galarian Stunfisk. You wall off the waters and electrics. But it just was so bad. It's so bad. It's like Lucario. Lucario was never really relevant. But Cobalion is incredibly relevant in Ultra League, right? And they have the same typing. It's just, the Pokemon itself is just not as good. I think that does it for my tier list. I think this is it, you know? It looks like out of the Pokemon that had changes or buffs or moves added, of all of them, I think Walrein is going to be about our only S tier Pokemon. But I think Alolan Sandslash is going to be pretty strong. Very, very strong, I think. I think Dugong's going to be very strong. Drifblim. Trevenant's still strong. Toxicroak, it's fallen by, like, things are getting a little worse as they go along. But I think they could be good. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this one. I think Dunsparce is still going to be pretty strong. Here's the thing. Dunsparce has a lot more unique coverage here, especially with his typing. Nidoqueen also. Toxicroak is just like... It's like not as good as Medicham, right? Like the typing is kind of unique, but it's just not unique enough to make a huge impact. That's my thoughts on it. And feel free to disagree if you like, but I feel pretty good about this one. However, for any of these Pokemon that are especially in B tier and below, if you make it work this weekend with the upcoming 3 regionals, let me know. I'd love to be proven wrong because we do need a meta shakeup and we're overdue.